7. Straight out to my fantastic expert panel. But first, to investigative reporter Michelle Segona. Michelle, what is the very latest?
I spoke with the Multnomah County Courthouse earlier today, Jane, and they did confirm to me that Cain did, in fact, drop that motion against Terry. Now, that was the motion that she allegedly shared sealed restraining order contents with a man, Michael Cook, whom she allegedly had some sort of sexual relationship, possibly text messages, sexting, going back and forth with that man. That is the specific motion that was dropped. There are other motions that Cain Horman will move forward with, and those will be heard on an October 7th hearing.
So also, is that the next time they're going to be in court? The next time they're going to be in court?
That is apparently the next time that they will be in court, Jane, will be on October 7th. Also, I just read right before coming into the studio that the Hormans will be on Oprah this week, later on this week, that she will be profiling this case. So that will possibly be, or it may either be airing or taped this Thursday. So that's something else to look out for. Also in this case, Carol and Judy, they are two volunteers that run the Kyron Horman Facebook page. They do an excellent job. There are more than 80,000 fans on that page. If you go there all the time, there's always new nuggets of information. They helped to plan yesterday's birthday party / fundraiser, and all the money that was raised there yesterday, Jane, hundreds of people were there, all go towards the Kyron Horman Foundation to help aid search efforts, buy T-shirts, to help with the wristbands, anything to help find this child.
All right, a lot of good information there, and I want to get into in a little bit what's going to happen on October 7th. You know, if he drops this contempt motion, what is going to happen? But first, I got to ask, why did Kyron's dad drop his effort to hold Terry in contempt of court? Now, it's complicated. After Kyron disappears, he says cops tell him, Terry, hey, guess what? Your wife had earlier allegedly tried to hire a hitman to have you killed. So, of course, he flees the home with her baby, gets a restraining order against her, which contains his new secret address and therefore is sealed, meaning you're not allowed to show it to anybody. But Terry allegedly shows that restraining order to one of Cain's high school buddies, this guy named Michael Cook, right there, whom Terry was allegedly sexting. That's right, sending X-rated photos of herself from her cell phone soon after her husband leaves the house. Hence the claim that she was in contempt of court. Now, I got to go to Bruce McCain on this. You're a retired captain with the very same sheriff's office investigating Kyron's disappearance. What is your theory as to why Cain suddenly decides, never mind, I don't want to go to court and try to hold my wife in contempt of court?
Well, Jane, I'm also looking at this as a practicing lawyer here in Portland, and I really think, believe it or not, maybe a little different than the other guests, but I really think this was not going to turn out well for Cain or the investigators. This contempt of court was actually going to be nothing more than what's called remedial sanctions, meaning a monetary fine, if that at all. She would not be going to jail. Terry Horman would make another dramatic court appearance with all the media following her. She'd walk out virtually unscathed, and that's something that Cain and Desiree did not want to see happen. There's another problem here with going on because
let me get to that, because this is complicated, but it's really significant. Cops in this case have been criticized for leaking damaging information about this woman with the red hair right here, Terry Horman, to Kyron's biological mother and dad, Cain, and using the parents essentially as mouthpieces. Now, most of the shockers in this case have come from Kyron's parents. Back in July, reporters actually voiced their frustration with the sheriff's office being so mum. Listen to this.
Why was the news conference called? We got nothing but history and a reward.
Well, it's an ongoing investigation, and it is what our press release said it would be, following up on the questions and an update on the case. And we did bring the family in also.
Now, I got to ask Mike Brooks, if Kyron's dad had insisted on a contempt hearing, then couldn't Terry's lawyers have called the detectives that leaked all this incriminating information about Terry to the stand and grilled them about the missing child case of which she is the focus? Couldn't that have turned the tables on the cops?
Well, okay. Are we calling it a leak, or are we just calling them updates that they're giving the people of the parents of the victim? You know, are these leaks? Maybe not. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. And, you know, if I'm Cain Horman, Jane, I'd want to get her the farthest away from me, get rid of her, be done with her. And just like Bruce said, it would just be remedial, basically a slap on the hand if she was found in contempt. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now, because Cain, look, if I were him in his shoes, I'd want to get her out of my life, period. And maybe just put a little thing, put this to the side, for maybe some bigger and better charges, hopefully in the future against her, if they do find her involved in the case.
All right, I'm going to go to Vikki Ziegler, family law attorney. This is the theory, and we got it from Bruce McCain. We were talking to him earlier today, and he said, you know, hey, it's quite possible that if they had gone to court with this contempt of court motion, the detectives who may have told them that, hey, your wife allegedly tried to hire a hitman to kill you and she's sexting one of your old high school buddies, that they could have grilled her. Terry's attorneys could have grilled these detectives about this.
Yeah,
Vikki.
Jane, this is what I think is happening. Yes, Jane, can you hear me?
Yes.
Jane, this is what I think is happening. There's two different court systems here. We have the criminal court system that's doing the investigation with Terry Horman regarding Kyron's disappearance, and then we have the family court. Remember, a restraining order is still under the civil matter. It's under the family court. I think that Mr. Horman's team decided to legally prioritize this issue. I don't think the removal of the restraining order, the contempt charge, is the priority here. It's about making sure that this gentleman Cook, Terry Horman, all of these individuals will be able to testify in the criminal matter if, in fact, charges do come down the pike. I think it was a total legal, strategic move, and I hope that it works on his behalf, because at this point, she's not a suspect, as you said. There is no charges been formally filed.
And Jane, so what if they got the detectives on the stand? If, in fact, there was some possible criminality involved in this case, they were letting a potential victim, i.e. Kane Horman, know that there was something going on. So was there a big issue with that? I don't think so.
Well, I'm just saying she could start with that and then go into any number of areas surrounding this case. I mean, look, she's not a suspect or a person of interest. We want to stress that, Casey Jordan, but she is clearly the focus of the investigation. And if you put her in court, you know, it's a wild card. You don't know what the heck's going to happen, Casey.
Well, absolutely. And what you have to understand also is that everybody believes she's a person of interest in the disappearance of the child. But don't forget, the whole issue with why he left her was because she had allegedly hired a landscaper to kill him. He got a new address, took the child, and left for his own protection. That new address was part of the sealed document. She let her new boyfriend, Mr. Cook, take pictures of the document that showed the new address. This is of interest. He doesn't want her new boyfriend being her next alleged hitman. So at the time, it seemed like a really good idea to bring her up on contempt charges just to put her on notice.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about what their next courtroom confrontation will be. And, oh, there's so much going on here. Everybody stay right where you are. More on the desperate search for Kyron. Where are all the leads? What's happened? Has the case hit a dead end? We're taking your calls on this. 1-877-JVM-SAYS. 1-877-586-729.
A show tonight on HLN.
We're hoping that he sees this and he sees where we are, and he'll know what we're doing, and hopefully he can't wait to be back to doing this with us.
We're not going to sit by and pretend like it's not here, and yes, it's painful, but I think that it's important that he sees that we still love him and that we still want him home, and that we still want to do everything for him, that he has a chocolate cake to come home to.
Kyron Horman's heartbroken parents celebrate his 8th birthday without him. And now Kyron's dad is trying to end his marriage to Terry Horman as fast as humanly possible. How? By letting Terry off the hook on a contempt of court motion. So they won't be going to court on that. But Bruce McCain, they are back in court October 7th. What are they going to be fighting about on October 7th?
Well, Jane, that actually is the far more important date. October 7th, there's two motions. One of it is Kane wanted to know where Terry Horman got this money to pay her defense lawyer. But the far more important motion is actually coming from Terry, where she's now playing offense, and that's to the motion to abate, or a motion to set aside the divorce for up to 2 years while this criminal investigation works its way through. Terry will be at that one. That's going to be a far more important motion. That's October 7th. You're going to hear about where the money came from for her lawyers. And the more critical deal is whether this divorce will be set aside. And the key to that, Jane, is that if the divorce is set aside for 2 years, it stops all motion practice. So you won't have any more of these motions by Kane trying to harass or annoy Terry and drag her into court.
Kane isn't trying to harass or annoy Terry. Kane is a dad who lost his son and who was told by cops that this woman allegedly tried to hire a hitman to kill him months before his son disappeared. I mean, that's not harassment. That's a guy who's, I can't believe how calm he is, frankly. I got to tell you, oh, let me throw that out to Casey Jordan. You're the criminologist. If I were him, I'd be pulling my hair out in tufts.
Well, I think he has a really good game face, and he is doing what he has to do, which is keeping the faith and keeping hope. And really, this birthday party that they had for Kyron is touching. And you think about the fact that so few children are found, but then you hear about these cases like J.C. Dugard, you think about the Stephen Stainers of the world, Elizabeth Smart found after 9 months. They have to hold out hope, and him getting emotional is not going to solve anything. So I think he's just a very strong, brave individual doing what he has to do to keep Desiree and the rest of the family together.
Well, you know, Mike Brooks, Casey raises a very important point. In this birthday party, and every time they speak publicly, the parents always seem to be behaving as if the child is alive, he's watching television, that he's seeing all of this. Do they know something we don't know? Because we had heard that witnesses had claimed that there were other people seen perhaps in that white truck the day that she took Kyron to school.
There's a good possibility they could know more than what they're really letting on to and more than what we know, Jane. But we've also always heard them say there is no evidence to show that he is dead. So you always have to hold out hope, and why not? And they believe that maybe someone else is holding Kyron. Why not go ahead with the 8th birthday? Why not do what they're doing and get it in front of the cameras as they always do?
California, your question or thought?
Yeah, how you doing, Jane?
Hey.
I was wondering, maybe Mr. Horman, by divorcing Terry, he's protecting his assets from her attorneys if she should be prosecuted in the future, you know, so he's not paying actually for her defense for the murder of his son.
Well, you know, you bring me to my big issue, which is, are they living in limbo? And I've got to ask this of Vikki Ziegler. I mean, if they can't get divorced or settle the property or the custody issues with their baby daughter, et cetera, until this case of Kyron Horman is resolved, and God forbid if Kyron's case is never resolved, is this poor man going to live in limbo for the rest of his life?
Absolutely not, Jane. And it would be remiss for any judge to put a pause button on a divorce case based upon a possible criminal investigation. This divorce needs to go forward. It needs to be expedited. Remember, they have a small daughter together. There's going to be custody issues. They have financial issues, property together. Your caller said perhaps debts that may have to be paid out, life insurance. These are all real, live, sensitive issues that have to be addressed now. And to wait and have a motion in abatement or abeyance, as we call it, would be silly.
What the heck is going on, Bruce McCain, with the grand jury? And, you know, what about all these reports that Terry was upset because her husband had said her 16-year-old son had to leave the house?
Well, again, Jane, the grand jury's been surprisingly quiet. It's been watched by the media almost every day here in Multnomah County. The 30-day session's already come and gone. We saw the usual suspects of detectives and a few school employees, but none of the big players. The family wasn't there. Dee Dee Spicer, who we haven't talked about in a while, she hasn't showed up yet. So right now, this investigation seems far away from any kind of
Gotta leave it right there. We're going to
indictment.
stay on top of it. Thank you, panel. Jose Baez lashes out at the